this talk on mental health is going to be the best talk you have ever heard. You know why? Because the power lies in the listener. The power lies in you. And it's a choice. It's a birthright. We can give ourselves permission to hear what we want to hear. So I'll be saying what comes to me. I have very minimal slides because I am someone who knows that whatever needs to come out will come out. And whatever the listener needs to listen to will listen. And it's fascinating what Alan talked about. I think everything is a synchrodestiny. Me being here is a synchrodestiny, and I'll talk about it later on in my talk. I'm also going to talk about wealth, but it's not the wealth you're thinking of. But there's something in common between what Ellen was talking and what I am going to point you to. I see wealth, money as energy, as spiritual energy. I see what I'm going to talk about, mental wealth, as definitely a spiritual energy. And I'm going to use a word that can seem like a swear word to some people, and I don't apologize. I'm going to mention God, not as in religion, not as a dogma, but God of your understanding, whatever that means to you. Because long time ago, I used to be scared of that word God. Like, oh my goodness, what will people think? People think I'm religious. I'm not religious. I'm not religious. I'm spiritual. It just resonates so much more now because I know that words get in our way. So I am a psychiatrist, and I have gone through the traditional paradigm. I have gone through the traditional training to become a psychiatrist. It's been 2001 is when I started training to be a psychiatrist, and I've come a long way. And the Rani who's speaking here in front of you is a very different Rani to who started the journey back then. And I talk about Rani, and some people who I've introduced myself to, I've said, hey, do you know the full name of Rani or what the Rani stands for? It stands for Queen. And it's the energy, the Raniness I'm bringing here. And it will connect to your isness. We are all looking for answers of some kind. And it's so tempting to look for answers out there. It seems like the answer we're looking for is somewhere out there. And what I'm seeing again and again is the answer lies within. When we get quiet and we are not even listening to the words, somehow we get a sense of what the answer means to us. So over the next few days, and already, the speakers here have spoken their truth, and I'm going to speak my personal truth. You are going to hear from your personal truth. And let's make it okay. I have another confession. I have been feeling a bit nervous, and I'm the one talking about nervousness and anxiety and everything. And I just want to say, like, what if all of us made it okay to experience any kind of emotion, any kind of thinking, and really knew that despite going up and down, our mood going up and down, our well-being thing is like shifting from feeling amazing to like feeling low, if we could really make it okay and know that beneath all of this, crashing waves and crashing mood and feeling low and anxious and nervous, there's a stillness. There's a stillness beyond all of it. And I'm always looking at what lies beyond my felt experience of this. And if I know that I have a birthright and the mental wealth is something I've already been gifted, the answer is so simple. it comes from somewhere beyond my intellect. And what I'm going to say next is, I've already said, answer lies within. And let me give you an example, a metaphor. Say, for example, there's a muddy pond, and someone tells you, your task is to clear the muddy pond, and I'm going to give you a tool. And they give you a stick. And you know what we might do? I know what I'm going to do, and I have done it so many times before. I would have done something in the lines of taking the stick and doing my best to stir the water, hoping that it would clear, right? And then at some point I get frustrated and throw away the stick, and then I come back and say, oh my goodness, it's clear. It's clear. I didn't do anything as such, but it got clear. The lesson for me has been that the mind works like that. We have all been given the tool, a gift of thought. And I would say, I invite you to consider thought not as in my thinking, but as a spiritual gift, an energy. And we have access to all kinds of thought anytime. But the thing is, just like me as in Rani, or someone who's just given a tool and thinks the only way to use the tool is to overuse it to make the muddy water clearer. Similarly, when our mind is overwhelmed and is very muddy, the intellect is overworking, maybe we are using that tool or misusing that tool to stir things up, to problem solve, because guess what? The intellect likes to problem solve. And when you say, oh, I give up, I'm just going for a walk, I'm going to swim in the beach, or I'm just going to come to do and not do anything, but just be. And you find that something magical happens, not because of the speakers here, because you gave yourself permission to just be. And the beauty is that when we allow ourselves to just be ourselves in any moment, we do the best doing. And when we do the best doing from the clear mind, we get the best having. And it's more effortless. And it's like a dance. It's like an energy. It's like a runniness. And it's in each of us. So that's something I have learned. And the God feeling is basically, we are all looking for a good feeling. We all love the good feeling. And some of you might be feeling something, and what I invite you to consider is the good feeling is never coming from outside of you. It might feel like, oh, whenever I come to do, it's amazing. I just have this good feeling. Yes, there is a link for sure because of the energy, the collective energy here. But as a possibility, the good feeling is not coming from anywhere outside of you. It's always within you. And basically, I've just omitted a O from the good feeling and then made it a God feeling, because that feeling is pure. No one can ever take away that feeling from you. And that's the paradigm shift I want to see in mental health, because that's something that we haven't seen. And one of the things about seeing is insight, a sight from within. And as a trainee psychiatrist, really eager to please my mentors, my supervisors, and wanting to do the best for my patients, I really studied religiously. I was looking at, mental state examination. What shall I write there? And I really wanted to make sure I did a good job. One of the things we put in a mental state examination, something that we use a tick box, is insight. Okay? Basically, if someone, say for example, has a diagnosis of, say, psychosis or schizophrenia or bipolar or any what we call serious mental illness, we are looking for whether they understand that they have got a challenge. So basically, we are looking at insight into their mental illness. What I never thought as a possibility is that what if we started exploring insight into mental wellness? it never landed for me until something shifted for me. So, at that time, it was August 2014, I used to be a consultant psychiatrist, a rehabilitation psychiatrist, leading a 16-bedded rehabilitation unit. And it was an open unit, but my patients did not have the luxury to come and go as a place. You might say, why, Rani? Well, the rehabilitation unit was for people with what we call, quote unquote, serious mental illness. So I was looking after people who had diagnosis of schizophrenia, bipolar, chronic depression, and were considered a risk to themselves or someone else. And I considered myself as a compassionate and kind doctor, always wanting to do good for my patients, but I didn't know what I didn't know back then. And that was my innocence. And my day job was to look at risk assessments and basically say to people, sorry, I can't give you permission to have leave because I think you're at risk, and so on and so forth. And that was my day job, but I also had a part-time hobby, not job, but business. I used to be a tapping trainer. Some of you might know about EFT, emotional freedom techniques. So I used to teach coaches and therapists how to train to be EFT practitioner. I was also a coach. I trained to be a coach in 2007. But I thought, oh, this only works for people who are well. It doesn't work for people with kind of labels. I didn't know what I didn't know. And lightning struck for me. And I had a stroke of insight that really shifted everything for me. So one day, I was surprised. My mentor who trained me with EFT, she said, I'm leaving this business. So Rani, you can take over in a way. And I found something else. It's the psycho-spiritual understanding of how the mind works. I was thinking, I'm going to swear, fuck. I'm a psychiatrist. What are you going to teach me about this? But yeah, I get your business. But I also had this FOMO, fear of missing out. What does she know that I don't know? So hesitantly, I agreed to have a session with her. It was a 2-hour session. And the first hour was, yeah, good. Where is the breakthrough coming, give me something. And it sounded like a cocktail, of a bit of CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, and a bit of mindfulness. I said, God, don't give me this crap. I have to train in all of those. Can you see my intellect? There was no sight from within. I thought I knew. And my listening was, I had put too many headsets here, okay? I was not listening. I was definitely not here. But in the second hour, something started to shift for me. I started to feel a bit drowsy, too relaxed. Now, as a psychiatrist, I hate to say this, and my kids also know from back then, I hated this, and I hate to admit this, but I used to like to be in control, I don't want to be a drowsy. I want my money's worth back, We talk about money. I want my money's worth. And then it was people talk about aha moments. People talk about enlightenment, and they see stars, they see lights, they see, something beautiful. I didn't get any of that. And I was feeling drowsy, almost like now, I felt drowsy. And it was like I was slapped by something. Darkness. It just was like a dark cloud just hit my consciousness. And I broke down. And I cried, and it was an ab reaction. I cried and cried and cried. And my trainer was like, what's happening? And I was like, oh shit, what's happening here? And the thing is that the words that came out from my mouth was, all this time I thought I was a recovery-oriented psychiatrist wanting the best for my patients. But actually I saw them as broken. I saw them as damaged. I was wanting to fix them. And I woke up. That was the turning point in my mind. That was a Saturday. I came back to work on a Monday. Everything was exactly the same. My patient still has schizophrenia diagnosis. My patient still had severe depression diagnosis. They hadn't changed. The delusion hadn't changed, what we call delusion. But how I started seeing people was different. I saw beyond the person, I saw beyond the diagnosis, I saw beyond the illness to their wellness, beyond the sickness to something that can never be taken away. So as a possibility, even when lightning strikes, even when we are going through our darkest times, there's something within that never changes, never comes and goes, and I call it mental wealth. We are already always whole. And the point of me telling this story is, please know this, you don't have to believe me. Please don't believe me, but see that for yourself. How can the energy of who we truly are, beyond the human disguise, beyond this form, how can that be broken? How can trauma or anything really affect us at that level of core? It's formless. So, I am proposing there are 3 paradigms ongoing at the moment. Most of you are aware of one paradigm, the traditional mental health paradigm, which says the question we ask in traditional mental health paradigm is, what's wrong with you? Coming from a good place. I also asked that question many times. What's wrong with you? And don't get me wrong, there's a place for it. There's a place for it. But is it going to lead to transformation? I haven't seen that. Prove me wrong. The second paradigm is an upgraded version of the first one. It comes from a compassionate understanding. And the question we ask is, what happened to you? That's a trauma-informed paradigm. And I really feel that there is something there. And to me, there's still the thing about, because of all these things that happened to me, only this much is possible for me. I'm still finite in what I can do. So the third and final paradigm is the one I'm taking a stand for, and you are all part of this. It's the mental wealth paradigm. And the question we ask is, what's already within you? What's already within, not as in within the body, but that we are part of. And I tell you, when we really see that, we are talking about prevention in the quantum level. And I kid you not, that this insight, this understanding has helped me, has helped thousands of people, not by myself necessarily, but many people are being pointed to in this direction. And the results I'm seeing from my patients, from my clients, and people I know of who have been exploring this and looking in this direction has been magical, to say the least. And I end with a final act of kindness. I would not have been here had it not been a random act of kindness by a colleague of mine called Sam, who sent David a 3-minute video that I randomly spoke about because something came to me. And I want to say that, isn't it fascinating that we begin to this talk with ROI of kindness, and I'm talking about this as a prescription for all of us to give an act of kindness to ourselves. And I'm going to share with you a 3-minute video about what came to me. Something really touched me when he talked about antidepressant and how act of kindness is a natural serotonin enhancer, a natural antidepressant. And I love to play with distinctions. We say AD, antidepressant. AK is act of kindness. What would I rather have, AD or AK? If I prescribe an antidepressant as a psychiatrist, it may or may not work. And it takes about 6 to 8 weeks. But act of kindness works straight away. Lots of side effects, unwanted side effects, and I know how disastrous it can be for some people, but only positive side effects for eco-kindness. We incremental increase in the antidepressant dose. High act of kindness, there's no barrier. You don't have to do an incremental increase. Lowest possible dose of antidepressant, nothing. One meal of antidepressant will do nothing. But even a smile, there were a group of people and they were on the tube, they were getting ready to get on the tube and they started to clap. It's a small family. And I started to smile and I said, wow, that's really amazing. And they were like smiling. They were spreading act of kindness. I didn't even ask for it, but I caught it. One dose can literally transform someone's life. And you can do highest dose, even smallest, tiniest dose. And the antidepressant you have to keep taking for 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, several years. And it does not solve the original problem. The original problem is still there. Can you see that if you just keep giving act of kindness, the original problem just disappears because you really get to see the bottom line. So I'm having fun with this. Oh my goodness, fuck, this is amazing. Or it's a doing. Antidepressant is like doing, but act of kindness is being. You're hearing that. It's very expensive, like we heard. Act of kindness is priceless. And you want to give everyone antidepressant informed consent. Do you really understand? Or get people to see if they can do lifestyle changes or anything. This one is, please take this medication. And finally, you might feel a bit different, but there's no transformation. There's no raising the consciousness. The other one, act of kindness, love, healing, raising consciousness of the planet. When I talk about the distinction between mental health, where we are overprescribing, everyone is talking about overprescribing medication and how mental health problems are like over the charts. Act of kindness. Who would we need to be? Just us taking lots and lots of doses of act of kindness, and it's just so contagious. Let's give it to others. Let them catch them from us. Thank you. Very good. Very good. So, the do from today's talk, from this talk that has been the best talk I've ever given and possibly the best talk, mental health talk I've listened to, the doing for you to give yourself a prescription, practice being kind, practice listening from within for the answers, practice what you preach, and don't forget to increase the dose of kindness. Thank you.